Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yasodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jayom Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astataru Srimad Divine Grace Shila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder BBT Founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki, Srila Vyasadeva ki, Guru Parampara ki, Bhakti Vedanta purports ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 2, entitled Ajamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas. Today's text 28. Vridha anato pitaro nanya bandhu tapas vina aho mayad duna tyaktva akrityena nichavat. You can chant my voice. Someone else? Vaishnavis? Matajis? And the word for word. Vridha, old. Anatha, who had no other person to look after their comforts. Pitarao, my father and mother. Na anya bandhu, who had no other friend. Tapasvina, who underwent great difficulties. Aho, alas, Maya, by me. Aduna, at that moment, Tyakta were given up. Akrita Kyena, ungrateful. Nichavat, like the most abominable, low-class person. So Ajamil is continuing to speak in a regretful way and still condemning himself in that consciousness. And he says in translation, my father and mother were old and had no other son or friend to look after them. Because I did not care of them, they lived with great difficulty. Alas, like an abominable lower class man, I ungratefully left them in that condition. And in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, according to Vedic civilization, everyone has the responsibility for taking care of brahmanas, old men, women, children, and cows. This is the duty of everyone, especially an upper class person. Because of his association with a prostitute, Ajamil abandoned all his duties. Regretting this, Ajamil now considered himself quite fallen. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In Srila Prabhupada's final days in November 1977 in Sri Vrindavan Dham, Srila Prabhupada was completely invalid in his functions of his physical body. In fact, his disciples had to do everything for him. Bathe him, feed him, dress him, make him lie down, and so forth. So, at one point, taking into consideration what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, which is regrettable by Ajamil, that he did not care for his elderly parents, especially father and mother. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, which is quite well known, that Vedic civilization means being responsible and taking care of brahmanas, old men, women, children, and cows. In those last days and also in some other purports, Srila Prabhupada added a sixth type of person. Anyone can recall? And that's was Srila Prabhupada's external condition at that time. Guru, okay. No, his external physical disposition is not old age or disease. And even in a younger age, somebody may get that. It's called, in English language, the closest word is called like an invalid. Huh? That's in Hindi. Okay. It's like those who have some physical deformity, the invalid, and they may have, it doesn't matter age, like that. So Srila Prabhupada added a sixth type of personality, not just the brahmanas, the old personalities, the women, the children, and the cows, but also those who are invalid. Like invalid can also mean like the bodily functions or senses may not be functional. Like for example, we have a nice devotee in our midst, Ishvara Puri Prabhu, and he cannot see. So, of course he can see with his mental eye or something, smart. But persons need to be taken care of. Like they cripple or some senses not functioning. Prabhupada added that as the sixth type of persons, and which referred to himself, also in that state. Yesterday we began some discussions in this chapter. So there was some devotees who had some outstanding questions, and I didn't reciprocate with you because of time. There was another hand up in the front. Was it the person, the devotees here today? No, there was another hand, the devotee was sitting. Yeah, maybe he lives in the congregation or something. There was two hands up yesterday, so I took the one in the back, but not the one in the front. Anyway, we'll continue. Yeah. Now, the Yamadutas were attached to taking the soul with the subtle body to administer a reformation. We won't call it punishment, to reform the soul. But the Vishnudutas, by their preaching to the Yamaduta, said, no, this is not the case for Ajamil. See? So there are three words that I would like to discuss today. One is attachment, which is very much the case of Ajamil in relationship to being irresponsible in his duties to take care of his parents even. Like that. You can imagine that Ajamil is attached to this living entity in the form of a prostitute's consciousness. She's placed there for a purpose. We cannot downplay that a prostitute is low class. and Ajamil is high class. And he fell down in a low class way. We should understand that Ajamil went to the prostitute, not that the prostitute came to him. There's a big difference in that. See? We allow ourselves to embrace Maya, not that Maya is embracing us. So, Ajamil was quite attached and he lost his sense of common sense. Can you imagine somebody loses the common sense not to take care of the father and mother? That's what happens. So because he was attached. On the other hand, you get a personality who's the epitome of Dharma. Yamaraj, who's also Dharmaraj. And Dharmaraj is, you could say, in one sense, detached, whereas the Yamadutas were attached to doing their duty. See? So we are coming with two words now. Attached and detached. But a devotee, including, our Ishta Devata in a sense of a role model, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was never attached and never detached. Then what is that word that is used? Yukta Vairagya explains the Praman, in Banda Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. That explains that, but what's the English word when somebody is not attached and somebody is not detached? Prabhupada uses the word, very beautiful word. Yes, one is the word non-attached and the other word is unattached. Now that's the consciousness of a devotee. Yes. So I'll give an example of this. It's quite an amazing example. Srila Prabhupada, because this is Yamaraj's consciousness, he is not attached and is not detached either, but he'll do his duty on the basis of being unattached, or like Vamsivardhan Prabhu said, non-attached. Prabhupada uses these words in some places. Because generally speaking, even in Vedic culture, they say that, you have to take to Vanaprastha and then take to sannyas and become detached. See? But Krishna consciousness is above that. Is above the even Daivi Varna Ashram system consciousness. And Prabhupada is like that. I gave the example of Srila Prabhupada receiving a very disturbing letter about some administration difficulties with a devotee in Hawaii yesterday. Remember? But he came onto the Vyasa and he gave a perfect disposition of Krishna consciousness. That means he was not attached and neither detached. He could switch so quickly that he wasn't affected by happiness or distress or name or fame. He's not distracted by the dualities of the material world. Failure or success. Like that. So that's non-attached or unattached. But I'll give another example. Srila Prabhupada used to stay we know, at the Radha Damodar temple, and he had the very simple quarters, like in one small room. I'm sure practically most of you, all of you may have been there. Yeah. So in one part of the room, when you just enter, you have to put your head down because the doors are low. He would meet people right in the beginning of the room. And at the end of the room, he had his bed where he would lie down. Small room. How many feet? Very small, right? What's the size? And like, given the educated guess, what's the size of that room? Say 2.5 meters by 6 meters or something, right? Very small. And then he used to do his writing, and he was preparing the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the center. Then there's a porch or a veranda, then he goes into his kitchen side, and from which therefore through the lattice work of the window frame, he could see the Samadhi, get the Darshan of Samadhi of Srila Rupa Swami. Very small. Yeah. And Srila Prabhupada said, I was most happy there. On the transcendental platform, I mean, who can be happy physically or even mentally, emotionally in a small place like that? It's not comfortable at all. But I was most happy there on the transcendental level. So the most opulent quarters of Srila Prabhupada in the world is not his home in Vrindavan and is not his rooms in Los Angeles temple. The most opulent quarters in the world for Srila Prabhupada is the 5th whole floor in Juhu. You cannot get anything more opulent than that. You know, even the pillars are oak wood. See? All of you may have been there. Yeah. So, when Srila Prabhupada first entered those quarters, and he looked at it like that, and you can imagine, there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 or 7 rooms of guest rooms on each floor below it. Now this is the whole floor, including the reception area for Srila Prabhupada. It's the most expensive by material terms and the most opulent quarters of Srila Prabhupada in the world. It far surpasses the opulence of his home in Vrindavan also. So Srila Prabhupada entered for the first time. And when he entered, it's quite a spacious reception area also. And there's an inner room that's there. And then there's a kitchen also. And he has a separate room for answering his letters. He has a separate place for taking prasadam. He has a separate place that does his translation with his dictaphone. And he has 2 bedrooms. One for his day nap and one for his night nap. Oh yeah, you've seen it? And he has a place where he honors prasadam. And he enters this amazing, lavish whole floor, that makes up 7 or 8 guest rooms on each floor, including the reception area. And he just naturally says, oh, just like my rooms at Radha Damodar. He said, in one place in my room at Radha Damodar, I used to meet people. This is that room. And another place in Radha Damodar, I used to honor my prasadam. That's that room. Another place I used to translate. That's that space. Like that. Another place I used to take rest. That's that space. Now anyone knows the simplicity of the rooms at Radha Damodar and the opulent nature of this whole floor. And even the reception area when you enter is bigger than a small room in Radha Damodar, what to speak of the entire rest of the floor. And he just comments, oh, just like my rooms at Radha Damodar. Same consciousness. So you can see that type of person is not attached, not detached, but non-attached or unattached. So that's the consciousness also of Mahraj when he heard from the Yamadutas. And I don't know what the sequence of the historical nature of his consciousness is, Mahraj, but he just wants to be more devotee rather than be the function of Mahraj, like a punisher or something. So that desire came, and then he later appeared as Mahatma Vidura. Say Mahatma Vidura. And then Srila Prabhupada does say in some places that then Aryama took his place temporarily, because there has to be somebody doing that service. Aryama is involved in Pitriloka also. So he took the place of the function of Mahraj when Mahraj was appearing in the pastimes of the Lord. Like within the Mahabharata sequences and so forth. So a devotee is also like that. The devotee is not attached and is not detached. So Srila Prabhupada used to give another example of a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloke maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. That a devotee fully realizes that Krishna is the supreme benefactor of one's activities, and he is the owner or controller, of all the planets and all the living entities, and therefore Krishna is the principal friend and well-wisher, Suridam Sarvabhuta, and therefore internally the devotee can feel peaceful. So someone who does not accept that in relationship to Krishna cannot be a devotee. Is something else, or is someone else, maybe an impersonalist or whatever. So in full realization of that verse, one can become non-attached or unattached and doesn't have to give up anything, neither is he attached to anything. Because he knows everything belongs to Krishna. So if you fully realize everything and everyone belongs to Krishna, then what is there to give up? What is there to give up? Only when the formative devotee in his consciousness of not having full realization that everything belongs to Krishna, then he has to give up. But that's not a full-fledged devotee. So if Krishna is the proprietor of everything and we acknowledge that in our internal realization, there's nothing to become detached from. My so-called husband or wife, my mother, father, my daughter, my son, they all belong to Krishna. The wealth that I'm possessing on the material platform in my name belongs to Krishna. My abilities, my talents, my intelligence, all belongs to Krishna. So there's nothing to give up. And therefore, we have that particular verse which was quoted by Radheshyam Prabhu. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Mujita. So that's non-attachment. That's unattached for the devotee. And Prabhupada is like that. tempted to quote another example, but it may not have a sort of acceptance level. I was previously initiated by another personality who did immense service for Srila Prabhupada. And I'm going to connect that person also to my current initiating spiritual master, His Holiness Brihat Swami. I thought about it whether I should share this because it's a personal experience. So at that time his name was Bhagavan Das Goswami. He was one of the 11 zonal acharyas. And he was super empowered by Srila Prabhupada, definitely. He led the whole world in book distribution in his zone. And when he offered Srila Prabhupada the French language edition of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and when Prabhupada held it, Srila Prabhupada said, "This is the most beautiful edition of my Bhagavad Gita." Most beautiful, yeah. So, for whatever it's worth, I was a sort of leading book distributor in the zone, under him, in the zonal acharya system. And the sort of reward you get to being like a leading book distributor is that you get personal service. You serve the spiritual master personally. No? And then he gives you remnants and things like that. So I was doing that. Yeah. So I had to arrange a meeting for him once, and several personalities were there. And one devotee was a bit troublesome. One devotee is a bit troublesome. So he was in the room and I happened to be sitting there. And I was like shaking the way he was being chastised by Bhagavan. I thought, I'll be next or something. I was shaking, like that. So he severely chastised him. And it affected my consciousness. Why is my spiritual master so angry? He's supposed to be saintly. He severely chastised him. Yeah. Then, after some moments, and he was still in the chastising mood, and he gave me this one look, and I just put my head down. I was cringing. He's a very powerful personality. So another person walked in, which was his godbrother. And as soon as his godbrother walked in, another Prabhupada disciple, and he turned and he just smiled at him and he said, "Please have a seat." And then he told the devotee who is also his disciple, "You can leave." I was amazed. And then he looked at me and he smiled. Wow. Just switched. Complete switch. And then I realized I committed an offense. That I thought, how come he's getting angry, Can't he show some compassion to this person? He made a mistake, but it's not a serious mistake, like that. But when I saw that, then I realized, no. He wasn't attached to his anger. He was using it in the service just to purify the disciple. And suddenly he switched to his godbrother and he was very affectionate and friendly to his godbrother. And then he looked at me and he also smiled. Yes, no. He wasn't attached to his anger. I remember that clearly. So subsequently he became weak spiritually. And then I learned another lesson. My heart was so hard that I was a very unforgiving person. So I joined about 40 years ago. And 19 of those 40 years, 19 years of those 40 years, I never forgave him after he left. Until one day I met him in Los Angeles with His Holiness Kirat Swami. Because I took reinitiation from His Holiness Kirat Swami after he left. So I'm not sure how to say this, but by his leaving, I became completely absorbed in studying every line, every word, and hearing every lecture of Srila Prabhupada, not to take initiation again. Because you get devastated spiritually. Right? And then I realized that I was very attached to him, you know. But it was very difficult for me to become detached, and therefore I could not forgive him by letting me down, so to speak. Like that. It took like 19 years, but prior to that helped me to come to the point of forgiving him was an exchange I had with His Holiness Kirat Swami in his offices in Juhu in the early 90s. Which is like a few years earlier, he just left in 1986, officially, and then early 90s is practically 5 years later, which is part of the 19 years, and I couldn't forgive him. So he detected it, His Holiness Kirat Swami detected it, that, I have this kind of hard-heartedness or grudge or unforgiving attitude against Bhagavan, Prabhu now. He detected it. Because I was kind of attached not to forgive. It's a bad attachment. Because you get so severely shaken by this thing. Yeah. So I was personally serving him as his servant and His Holiness Kirat Swami. This is like in the early 90s when he came back to India after some absence from India. So one day after serving prasadam, he called me in to that office. His name is still there in that office. He called me to the office. He said, "Do you want to discuss anything?" I said, "No." I was a bit stubborn. Because he knew I went through this traumatic so-called spiritual trauma with the previous initiating guru. Yeah. I said, "No." But he was very, very, very astute and sensitive. He knew inside what was going on. Right? He just told me this. He said that the number of Srila Prabhupada's books that were distributed in Bhagavan Prabhu's zone under his astute leadership and inspiration and encouragement. I'm talking about Prabhupada's books, distribution of them. Because I was a leading book distributor, so he connected that. So he said the number of books that Bhagavan Prabhu inspired and he himself distributed and did during his several years with Prabhupada until 1986 when he subsequently left that service and so forth. So His Holiness Kirat Swami said that even if I take birth a few lifetimes, I will not match that. I was, wow. He has so much love and affection for Bhagavan Prabhu that he's glorifying him and like that, and I am like detesting him and being unforgiving, And Kirat Swami tells me that even if I take birth a few lifetimes, I won't match the number of books that he has distributed to the world. Under his tutelage, under his care, under his encouragement, and under his inspiration. That did it for me. I became purified. So from the unforgiving nature internally, I had to build up courage to forgive. That's all he did. And then I could understand that even Srila Prabhupada's followers they also can be very, very unattached or non-attached. They're not attached and not detached. Okay? Because he's not attached to me as being his disciple. He is attached to his God brother who helped me in my devotional service, was no more there to help me. Can you imagine? So that's how I decoded it. And later when I discussed it, I said, you're glorifying this person who let me down. He said, yes. He said, they have sacrificed. They went through so much inconvenience, which probably we are enjoying now. Like that. So I said, yes, because I could see that he was more attached to Bhagavan Prabhu in pleasing Srila Prabhupada than being attached to me as being his disciple. And that was a great, great lesson for me. And from that moment on, I felt, I have to work on my heart to always be forgiving. Otherwise, I won't be forgiven if somebody has to forgive me. Yeah. So this is the glory of associating with very, very exalted devotees, including those devotees who were exalted in their time with Srila Prabhupada, but made me a little bit spiritually weak now. But they have given us something that empowered by Srila Prabhupada at that particular time, and we should honor and respect that still. So that's part of also being like non-attached or unattached. So there's nothing to be given up. Like you only can be detached for something that you're attached to. But if you're non-attached or unattached, that is actual Krishna consciousness. Like that is actual Krishna consciousness. So I'll just read 2 verses from the Bhagavad Gita that very nicely describes this in the purport mainly. Not really in the verse itself, but I'll just read it. It's quite famous verses. So this is from chapter 2, text number 56. I'll read the Sanskrit. Dukeshvanu. I have to combine these words when you say them. Dukeshvanud vigyamanaha sukeshu vigattaspriha vitaragabhaya krodha stita dirmunir uchyate. I'll read the purport. It's about 3/4 of a page. It's a beautiful purport. And the translation by Srila Prabhupada is, one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of a steady mind. A beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. It's amazing. It is said that every muni has a different angle of vision, and unless a muni differs from other munis, he cannot be called a muni in the strict sense of the term. And Prabhupada quotes from Mahabharata, Na shavrishi yasya matam na binam. Mahabharata, Vanaparva 313.117. But a Stitadid Muni is mentioned herein by the Lord, as mentioned herein by the Lord, is different from an ordinary Muni. The Stitadid Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all of his business of creative speculation. He is called Prashantanihe Ratantara, Sutra Ratna 43. O one who has surpassed the stage of mental speculations and has come to the conclusion that Lord Sri Krishna is Vasudeva, or Vasudeva is everything. Famous Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudulabha. He is called a Muni fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord. Thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds, and he sees that his miseries by the grace of the Lord are minimized to the lowest. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of the happiness. He realizes that it is due only to the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable condition and able to render better service to the Lord. And for the service of the Lord, he is always daring and active and is not influenced by attachment or aversion. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and detachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. But one fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment, because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. He is not attached and not detached. Consequently, he is not at all angry, even when his attempts are unsuccessful. And I gave this example of Bhagavan Prabhu, and I thought he was angry, but he was not. He used it in the service of helping his disciple. Success or no success, a Krishna conscious person is always steady in his determination, which means that if you distribute books and you don't distribute many books, you mustn't become unenthusiastic not to continue to distribute books. You can still do the service and go on with it, whether success or failure is there, whether big result or small result or no result. You still have to do that service. That is a Krishna conscious person. Then the other nice text that complements this text in the same chapter, very nice text, text number 64. Famous. Raga dvesha vimuktastu vishayan indriyaischcharan atmavashya atmavashya videt atma prasadam adhigachati. In the translation by Srila Prabhupada with the purport. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and is able to control his senses to regulate the principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. And in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, amazing purport. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process. But unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there's every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. Amazing. And Srila Prabhupada gives a nice example like this. Srila Prabhupada says, like, there are two persons in a bank, and one person is depositing money in his own account for his sense gratification. But the devotee is also in the bank depositing money, but in Krishna's account, like the temple account. You getting it? Yeah. They both appear to be on the sensual platform. Externally, they both appear to be doing the same activity, but it's different. Bank is same, bank accounts are same. But one is for Krishna's bank account and other is for his own bank account for his sense gratification. But both appear to be the same. Prabhupada gives a nice example. I'm reading on. In the purport, it's very short. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. Amazing. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This Krishna consciousness, this consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual plane. Amazing. Srila Prabhupada ki. We have some minutes for comments or questions. Anyone would like to offer a comment? Yes. You have a question? And okay, let's pass the microphone to the Mataji at the back. Also, I see a hand up in the straight line. Then we'll come back to you. Can somebody take the microphone on the other side? Everyone, you can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Mahraj, one very senior couple has come here.
Oh, I know, Guru Bhakti Mataji.
Yeah, Guru Bhakti Mataji and Sarvam Prabhu. Are they here?
No, Guru Bhakti was earlier, yeah. I think she just left for a treatment.
She's here, yeah.
Guru Bhakti Mataji ki jai.
Yeah.
Where's Sarvam?
His Grace Sarvam Prabhu, disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj.
I saw him.
Yeah,
I know him well.
From Houston, and that's Guru Bhakti Mataji. They both are very, very senior disciples of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj.
They're more than senior.
Uh-huh.
They're more than senior. They're very affectionate.
And also
they like to take care of devotees.
Yeah,
Serve them, yeah.
They are in Houston and they are in Pune for some time. Let's welcome them to Sri Shadam Damachandra Temple. Hare Bo!
Hare Bo! Hare Bo! You need a chair? So comfortable there? Bring the chair, yeah. Can you move away from here? You can sit there. Guru Bhakti, you need chair? You okay? All right. So there's a microphone there. What's your name? Your name?
Dipali.
Deepavali. That's nice. It's a celebration. Okay, Deepali.
Dipali, yes.
Yes.
Please accept my obeisances, Maharaj. My question is, how can our heart be always grateful, surrendered, and faithful to the books of Srila Prabhupada?
Which heart you're talking about? The one that can be replaced in a heart transplant surgery? Which one?
That means my consciousness.
Yes. Srila Prabhupada mentions in several places which we were speaking about yesterday with the brahmacharis in the class yesterday, that there's a heart in the living entity, the soul. Well, you're not talking about the heart in the material body, right? Now tell us your question again.
Yes. I am asking it because the first book which I read about spirituality was Bhagavad Gita as it is. And I haven't experienced anyone else's book before. So sometimes the thought comes in my mind that is it okay to read any other book?
An example of any other book? Tell me.
No, means the author. Like Srila Prabhupada's books we read, right? Every time. So sometimes I feel that is it okay to read any other author's book?
Like, give me the name of an author.
No, not decide. It means not particular, Just is the thought that is it okay or not?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it happens that
Okay, so let's ask Sarvabhauma Prabhu to answer your question. Bring the microphone here. Yeah. Can you help us with this, please?
I couldn't quite understand the question.
I'll repeat for her. She's quite impressed with reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, but there's also maybe other commentaries or authors who have translated. Are you reading the English version?
yes, Maharaj, my question.
So her question is like, if she has some inclination to read other translations of the Bhagavad Gita or other authors' books, what do you recommend? I mean, should she do it or not?
If she's reading Prabhupada's Gita now, it seems like it would be good to finish it. And
So, Sarvabhauma is blessing you that you should read the entire Bhagavad Gita first. That's the first instruction he's giving you. Would you like to follow that?
Yes,
Good.
Maharaj.
What's the next instruction for her?
then she should discuss the Bhagavad Gita with a devotee of Srila Prabhupada, follower of Prabhupada, and
Oh, that's wonderful. Then, after you read the entire Bhagavad Gita, and what sections in the Bhagavad Gita that catches you, you have to discuss it with others. So that's two instructions. The first one, and then the second one is dependent on the first one of your reading it. What's the third instruction?
then she can ask questions based on the other Gita that she read.
No, she's not supposed to read the other Gita.
But she's already read part of it, right?
No, she didn't read yet. She was inclined to read books by other authors, but
No, Maharaj, actually I am not inclined to, but most of the time what happens means if I buy some things, I check it that yes, this brand is good and this is not good. So ultimately, whatever I heard from seniors that the books wrote by Srila Prabhupada are transcendental and I want to feel that, but means
nice.
just to increase my surrender towards Srila Prabhupada books, I wish that shall I read others' books also so that I could get the good greatness
So she's
of Srila
asking you
Prabhupada's
for
books.
advice whether she should read other books or not. You just have to say yes or no. She has a sort of innocence in her that she should not be contaminated by other philosophies, so she wants to be protected. So what's the answer?
Should associate with, Prabhupada said that those, someone that loves Krishna very much, you should associate with them. So she could also see what are the devotees of ISKCON, their qualities. Are they spreading Krishna consciousness? Are they making facility for others to come to Krishna? And if the person, she should compare the devotees of Prabhupada with the people that promote the other Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
That's one, because there are so many different philosophies out there, but devotee is a concrete living example of the philosophy. So,
Yes.
I think many of us who are here today have met devotees that made some difference in our lives that,
Mm-hmm.
besides answering our questions, helped us personally to come to Krishna. They cared. And also, the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita is an amazing book because it
Mm-hmm.
describes the character of the founder of Acharya of ISKCON. And personally for myself, when I read about Prabhupada's life, then I really understood ISKCON, something that I wanted to be part of, try to help also. So that's one angle you might consider.
So, Deepali, got it right? Yeah. So, what did you glean from the last, could say, advice that Sarvabhauma Prabhu is giving us? What did you understand from that?
You please repeat that. I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear him. Okay, so I will repeat what he said. It essentially is saying that your search has ended. You don't need to search elsewhere. What did I say? Repeat.
Your search it ended.
Say my, use the word my for yourself.
My search is ended.
Yes. That means if your search has ended, that means that's the end of your material life. Then you don't need to search anymore for eternal spiritual life. Is that okay?
Yes.
So that's what it's essentially saying, that you should now associate with those who have the consciousness and who have the mood and who have the affection for Srila Prabhupada, which means members of ISKCON. So, Deepali, can I ask you a question? It's an easy one. Do you know any devotees in the temple here, or any of the ladies or Matajis or Vaishnavis around you? Do you know them?
Yes, Prabhu.
Who do you know?
Chitra Lalita Mataji.
Chitra Lalita. So because you already know each other, Chitra Lalita Mataji, that's you, right? Yeah. Can you take care of her and make sure that she doesn't search elsewhere? Chitra, Lalita, is that all right? Give her the microphone.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes. So a search has ended to begin. A search has ended to begin. So you can begin by offering a nice, sumptuous breakfast prasad. Is that okay, Chitra? Mataji?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, good. So, Guru Bhakti, you want to share some wisdom with us, please? Well, the microphone is on its way already, so they're very experienced and realized devotees, very early disciples of His Divine Grace Tamal Krishna Goswami.
So, if I understand
very dedicated, without any discrimination, they serve devotees. Go ahead.
So, Deepali, if I understand your question correctly, you wanted to develop an attachment to Srila Prabhupada. So, Srila Prabhupada gave that example that how does someone become an alcoholic? He said you
But
hang
don't
out.
do that. But a nice analogy, Yes.
He said you hang out, you associate with those who drink alcohol. So, what my husband was saying, if you associate with those who have attachment to Srila Prabhupada, then you will develop attachment to Srila Prabhupada. And it can start by you reading the Lilamrita.
Which Sarvabhauma Prabhu mentioned. So, I will sponsor a set for her. Go and get it now. Who's the book person? Get the Lilamrita. There's 6 volumes, right? Or 7 maybe. Yeah, get it quickly. Good, thank you. So now to support what Guru Bhakti Mataji mentioned, she used the word addiction. Remember? Used the word. So Prabhupada never really used that word before until he also went to the West. Yeah. And then Prabhupada, because the word addiction is like a negative word in relation to maybe alcohol or drugs or something like that. But Prabhupada transformed it into a transcendental word. Okay. And Prabhupada did say that you should stick to someone who's addicted to Krishna. He uses that word. Nice word you used. So he uses it, in terms of relating to people. Addicted to Krishna. Nice. So, can we take his question and then we can conclude? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to clarify my understanding that can we use social media as a tool to spread Krishna consciousness under Yukta Vairagya principle in detached manner?
What do you feel?
Yes, we can use it.
How do you use it?
Actually, I upload my Mridanga lesson and many people all over the world, they see and they practice.
Okay. I'm not so familiar with these things because I'm not involved in these social media things so much. Like somebody asked me, do you have a YouTube channel? I said, no. Are you on Facebook? I said, I don't know what that means. So I'm not so familiar with these things. Okay. So I'm not sure whether it can also, it could be risky also, I'm not sure. Radhesham is agreeing with me. If I said it could be risky, I don't know how risky it could be, so give him the microphone. Like sometimes in the name of using social media to preach, you may get a little bit trapped somewhere, It had happened to devotees.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj. I have a very simple criteria, Maharaj, for the use of social media. If somebody is attending the whole morning program, 4:30 to 9:30, and also one is studying Prabhupada books every day, hour or two, every day at least. And also one is spreading the holy name through Harinam Sankirtan, distribution of prasad, distribution of knowledge. So all these things lead to spiritual absorption. We call it as a TII, we call it, opposite of IIT. It's called transcendently imbued intelligence.
Nice.
And if somebody is spiritually absorbed, then the social media, his interaction with social media will not affect him. Otherwise, one will become very easily trapped by social media. Because I have seen that many people, when they get into social media...
They can be distracted, you mean? Not attracted, but distracted.
Yeah, distracted or distracted also. Distraction also.
Oh, you mean...
Distraction and destruction.
You mean they can be destructed?
Yeah.
Finished,
yeah.
I'm not saying it, he's saying it. Not me. I'm not the person, him. Something more? Can you destroy this completely from the heart? Pull it out, throw it aside.
Actually, Maharaj, I have seen with my eyes people, they were in spiritual direction, and later on I observed that they are externally having attire of spiritual personality, externally, but their absorption has become matter.
Can you relate to that? Yes or no? Can you relate to that? Yes. Give him the microphone. What can you tell us that you can relate to what Radhesham has wonderfully described as a risk factor and can lead to destruction of your Bhakti Lata beach, right? It can be stunted. Yes, yes. It's a CC Madhyalila 19.159. What did you learn from what he said?
Yeah, so externally attire of devotee, but internally absorbed in matter.
Yes. Wonderfully put, wonderfully described for us. Thank you very much. Now I'll supplement or complement the destruction. Is that okay? Yeah. You see, if you use social media just to keep people connected to you and not a transparent medium, like, I'm the best Mridanga player tutor, that's matter. But Maharaj, Mridanga playing is part of Krishna consciousness. No. It's part of playing an instrument. Is it accompanied by the chanting of the holy name? Yes or no? I'm just taking your own example. You getting it? Like somebody is sending some girl for Bharatanatyam classes. Who is she dancing for? Who is she moving a body for? For Krishna? You getting it? So I'm just giving examples subtly of how you're involved in matter that you do not even know. In the name of like cultural activities. We okay so far? But now I'll give the principle now. If you're absorbed too much in social media in the name of preaching in a soft way, they say soft preaching. But you can be like gone with the flow of the soft preaching because you're taking so much association of these other people and you're thinking you're giving association, which is simply on the physical or sensual platform, or is it on the emotional or mental platform of the mind, or is it only on the intellectual or philosophical platform. But have you brought them to take shelter of Krishna by chanting japa? Otherwise you keep them as your followers. And you become their God. That's social media. And they don't even know you, how you live your life. It's a bit impersonal. But they glorify you, so. I always give the example, because you cannot miss this person in India. You go to the airports, you go anywhere. His name is Srimad Amitabh Bachchan. You cannot miss him. He's advertising for cement. He's advertising that, there's a tour in the Rajasthan desert for the Rajasthan state. Like that. But how many people does he know personally? And how many people know him personally? He's making good money. So that's social media. You get people attached to you, they don't even know you. So that is why Radhesham Prabhu is impressing on a personal level of a nice morning program from 4:30 till breakfast prasad. Breakfast prasad is very much part of the morning program. See? And absorb yourself for at least 2 hours in Srila Prabhupada's books. What's your name again?
Ajay Gaurang Das.
Ajay Gauranga. Prabhu, you live near the temple?
Yes.
You come every day in the morning?
Yes.
I've seen it. Stick to that. On a normal, regular day, you come every day. Even if some emergency or if the body is not well, we can understand you're not there. And if they don't see you, they'll probably come and bring the prasad to your home or something. Nice. Can we conclude with that? Guru Bhakti, come. Can you present this to Dipali first? Come. Just take this to Guru Bhakti. Take this. Come. This is Prabhupada Lilamrita set. Guru Bhakti is presenting to Dipali on my behalf. And the seed to give this gift was planted by Sarvabhauma Prabhu. He said, you must read Lilamrita. Chitra? Oh, Chitra Lalita Mataji is in charge of the books. Bookstall. Chitra, you're in charge of the books? Bookstall. Yeah. But I'll have to send my donation for that book. BBT price or selling price? Dipali, this is between us, not for you. All right, so we'll stop for today, and we have extended our stay here with His Holiness Kirat Swami. So, Radha Shyam Prabhu ki. So you have some announcements to make? Because there's some adjustment for His Holiness Kirat Swami schedule.
Hare Krishna, there is one important announcement. His Holiness Giriraj Mahraj has extended his stay in Pune. So he is giving on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, both days Srimad Bhagavatam classes here in NVCC, right? Hare Bol!
Let me say more about that. 1 second, let me say.
And Friday class is cancelled. Friday is not giving. Friday is not giving. Only Saturday morning, Sunday morning in NVCC, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj is giving. And tomorrow morning, Srimad Bhagavatam class will be given by His Holiness Bhakti Brihat Bhagavat Maharaj, not here, in camp temple.
Oh, in camp, yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to the camp.
Yes, you're going to camp.
I'm going to camp out tomorrow.
So tomorrow morning is, Thursday morning is giving in camp, Maharaj is giving, and Saturday morning,
That
Sunday
is
morning.
the Shishi Radha Kunja Bihari Mandir.
Yes, Maharaj, correct.
Good. So with His Holiness Giriraj Swami, so I've encouraged that he's not going to really speak from Srimad Bhagavatam, because I was so attracted to his speaking in Vrindavan Dham. I arranged it like that. The manuscript of his new book is completed. So what he did was he gave us I'll Build Your Temple, the Jewish story first, but that's the latest book in the historical chain of events with Srila Prabhupada. But then the book that comes before that historically, which is now giving to us, actually His Holiness Radhanath Swami, in a friendly way, told Giriraj Swami, give us this book first. I'll Build Your Temple, the Jewish story. So he followed that. They're closest of friends. So now he's giving us the next book, which is when Srila Prabhupada handpicked like one of the best devotees from each temple, especially from the US, in 1970-71, and he brought them to India, some like 30 of them. And they traveled to different places before even the Jew project would come about, like Amritsar, Surat, Gorakhpur, like that, Indore, like that. So he's giving details of how he himself with those 30 devotees were traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India in 1970-71. And there's a lot of nectar that's new there. So he spoke about few places. I think he spoke about Gorakhpur, Indore and Amritsar. And he was about to speak about Surat, but we didn't have enough time. It's in these places. So the book is now technically called Traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India, 1970-71. So the manuscript is ready now. His editors are on it to prepare it for printing and publication. So he's going to speak on that on Saturday morning and Sunday morning.
Friday morning you can give again?
Giriraj Swami.
Here, yourself. Here?
Me?
Yes.
Where?
Here. Tomorrow is Thursday, you are giving in Sri Radha Kunjibari temple. And Friday morning, if you could give here, it'd be nice.
If I order you to give on Friday morning, will you do?
I'm only requesting, Maharaj. I'm not ordering you.
But mine's the order.
So I'll be giving after you return back. I'll give one of the days, Maharaj.
All right, by His mercy, I will attempt to be of some service on Friday morning.
Haribo! So Friday morning,
Radhesham is very
Friday,
compassionate.
Saturday, Sunday, 3 mornings are very, very special programs. Please, you have to, I think, inform all the devotees. Huh? Yeah.
All right, we'll continue. Ajamil is purifying us. Like that. All right. Mahaprasade Govinde. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vranda ki. Jai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Spoke about the first one.